All Kimballs descend from two brothers who came over from England in the 1600s, Richard and Henry. Our line descends from Richard. When we get down to John, who was the first Kimball to purchase this land, John was a deacon in the first church, which was right across the street from us. In 30 years, he only missed one Sunday.
John Kimball and his wife, Anna Hazenera, had 8 children. They lived in this house, which now sits on Church Street, though at the time it stood on the family property on North Main Street.
Of course, their children had a wide variety of professions, which were wonderful. Their son Hazen went to Philadelphia to be part of the first national government down there, federal government down there. Sarah was courted by Daniel Webster, and when he proposed marriage to her, she turned him down. And of course, the lore in the family is that it was in deference to Father John, who was a very upstanding man in the church and did not agree with Daniel Webster's character. And there is a letter from a niece who talks of Sarah carrying Daniel Webster's love letters in a silk purse until just before she died, and then she burned all those letters, so we don't have the actual letters. But
Samuel Eyre Kimball was the youngest of John and Anna's 8 children. He went to Dartmouth, studied law, and was active in state politics. He was a clerk of the Senate, a member of the House from Concord, and Deputy Secretary of State. Samuel married Eliza Hazen and had 5 children. The youngest child was Samuel Sparhawk Kimball. It was he who had the original house moved to Church Street. And then, over a period of 6 years, Samuel Sparhawk built the mansion that today sits on North Main Street.
he kept complaining that the house was too big, there was too much going on, it was getting to include too much, such as the hand-painted ceilings and the hand-carved woodwork, but he didn't stop. He kept building it against the day that the Kimballs may have large families again.
Samuel Sparhawk Kimball and his wife Hannah had only one child, George. After graduating from Harvard Medical School, George opened a practice in Concord and lived in the North Main Street estate. He served under 2 governors as the Surgeon General for New Hampshire and served on the board of directors for New Hampshire Savings Bank and the Page Belting Company. In 1886, he married Annie Louise Gage.
She was a professional opera singer, and so there was music in the house. We recently had a letter sent to us that was written by a woman who lived next door, and she tells of Annie Louise practicing of a Sunday evening in the summer when the windows were all open and her voice would drift out through the neighborhood and people would sit on their porches to hear her practice.
George and Annie Louise had 2 children, Robert and Louise. Robert never lived in Concord as an adult because, it is said, he didn't get along with his father. Louise was different. She lived with her parents until she was 33 years old when she met and married a widower named Walter Jenkins.
We have a wonderful story that Carolyn used to tell when people would ask her what her parents did. She would say, my mother makes lists, and my father married well.
Walter and Louise had one child, Carolyn, who would be the last of the family line to reside in the estate on North Main Street.
Carolyn was born in 1930 and, of course, was raised in this house. She went away to school, to Abbott Academy, and from there she went to Wellesley. From there she went to Carnegie Tech, and from there she went to Columbia University in New York. She stayed in New York and had a career in the theater for about 25 years. But when her mother died in 1974, she came back and started to spend more and more time here, between here and New York, but more often here. Her father died in 1977. And by that time, Carolyn had moved back into the house and was very active with the Arts Council and with the community players at the Audi. And in 1979, she found out that she had cancer and died in 1981. But she was living here in the house until that time.